My name is Oddimus Prime, and thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Transformers 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out. With me, as always, is the indomitable, the amazing, the incredible, the shiny Mr. Primetime Moff. Hello, Moff.
Shiny. Yeah, cheeky swine. I
I
like
mean,
that one.
shiny in a good way. Anyway, so yes, thanks for joining us. We are continuing to embark on our fantastic journey through all 40 years of the Transformers franchise, and we have reached 2010, which is quite a while. We're still 14 years off of finishing, which is, if you're trying to work this out live, we don't have that many weeks left of the year, so we're having a little bit of a rethink. And as part of that, we have come to a few decisions about how we're going to be working moving forward. We've really enjoyed being able to go through all of the toy lines completely and have slides of every single toy that was available during this time. But quite frankly, it takes so long for us to go through all of them in the video. It takes so long to put together all the slides and do all the research and everything else. And yeah, that was having an impact on how much we were enjoying doing it. And quite frankly, with the whole point of this is to be enjoyable for us and enjoyable for you to watch. And if we're having a bit of a slog and a hard time going through it, we figure nobody's going to bother going through 45 minutes of slides of toys that we don't know huge amounts about and tiny pictures that you can't even really see. So after this week, although this week's going to be slightly different as well, but after this week, moving forward, we're going to be doing an overview of the year, an overview of the toy lines, and then we're each going to pick 5 highlighted bots that we will focus on, and that will be the way of things going forward, which we think is going to work better and be a little bit nicer and easier. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so when we started talking about the relaunch of PTTV, and we were thinking we wanted content that was going to be easy to create and not have to overthink because having done talking robots for the last kind of year and a half, every week trying to come up with a topic. What am I going to talk about? At some points I was just like, I have no idea. So the idea of reviewing the 40 years seemed great. That's really easy. That's one thing we don't need to worry about. And you think back to some of those early years where it's like 14 toys. It's like, this is dead easy. There's not much work involved. But it's just became so crazy. And, we've got third party kicking off big style now. And at this point in the time, toy lines are just going to get bigger and bigger. And it's right that we stop it becoming a slog. First and foremost, we want to enjoy this. We want to enjoy the journey. We do this for fun. This is our time to spend with each other, having a laugh, talking toys. And it was becoming a bit of a slog, and it was like, oh, can you do it? Can you do it? Because it's an afternoon recording session, and it's all the prep that you do. You do amazing work prepping it, but it just wasn't coming fun. And actually, it wasn't allowing us to then also let's do a video on Transformers One, or let's also do a video on this. It was let's do that instead because we can't add that in. Whereas now making this a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to prep, produce, means that when something comes up, 2 weeks' times, TFN Mini Reading, and we're going to be seeing each other, and we are absolutely want to talk about that. This means that we could do a ad hoc 30-minute, 40-minute episode and add that up as well, and it's not as much hassle. So I think it's a better use of our time, it'll produce a better product for the listeners, and it means we can actually do some double up episodes to maybe try and get through the final years before the end of it. We'll see. But no, I think it'll be a better format to do it. The thing I'd say to everybody is when you want to look, it is really interesting to look through all the toys. I've had a great time doing it, and we're doing it, and we're doing our prep, looking at our top 5s. We're still going to have a conversation about what is other toys that neither have experienced. That's been my favourite part of the whole experience of this is learn about new toys. When you're listening to this, bring up Transformer Land, bring up TF Wiki. We just found a new one, Unicron.com, that has a list of third-party toys, which would make my life much easier to highlight. So, all the media is out there, and, why not bring it up? listen to us chat, have a look at the pictures, have a look at the toys that are out there. Enjoy that experience as well.
Yeah. I'm still going to edit in pictures of the ones that we focus on, because that's easy enough. And I'm still slightly tempted to stick the slides up this week just to go through them really, really quickly, just flash them up rather than a proper look, mostly because I've already made them. So yeah, we'll see how we go. But yes, the other reason why we're trying to tighten things up a little bit is that it's just ceaseless. It is a never-ending, huge amount of stuff, and only when you really sort of look into it do you realize just how big the franchise gets at points. And I think this year is one of the peak years in terms of output, and there's not even a movie this year. So we're another year off until I think Dark of the Moon's next year. Yeah, 2011 for Dark of the Moon. So we've got another year till Dark of the Moon. But there's just a huge amount of stuff. So just very quickly going through things. The comics again are going like great guns. The Transformers ongoing for IDW is just in its infancy, but it's starting, and obviously that then splits off into various well-known comic lines in the near future. But they're still carrying on with that. You got Last Stand of the Wreckers, which is an amazing storyline. It really sort of harkens back to the old school Marvel G1 comics of the Wreckers and all
definitely
of that.
One of the best bits that could just by IDW Last Stand of the Wreckers. Amazing piece of work.
And then carrying on with some of the other the one shots and spotlights and things like that, and some of the miniseries they did an Ironhide miniseries and a Drift miniseries.
The Drift one's great.
Yeah, the Drift one is really
the really cool thing with that is that like Drift right now. So we're talking TF1 has come out this year, and TF1 toys aren't all on the shelf. There's stuff coming out next year. You know, it's not the same with Revenge of the last year's film.
Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah. What? No, next year's film.
Next year's Dark of the Moon.
No, I mean like last year in real life year.
Oh,
Rise of the Beast.
Rise of the Beast. Sorry.
So Rise of the Beast toy still coming out. You know, tail end of last year, beginning this year. Transformers Drift comes out, and there's a Drift toy that year.
Yeah.
Like that's quite impressive. Like when you think about it, for the volume of toys, they obviously had a big quick turnaround at this point. So that's quite impressive. I know we'll get into toys, but I just thought I was quite kind of keen to point that out. When that was, I did enjoy Drift, and I remember enjoying it and going, I can just go buy a toy for this. Like not 2 years later, going, remember that comic I read? I'm going to go and buy that toy. So I thought I was quite good compared to what we're seeing these days.
Yes, no, definitely. But on top of the comics, we also had the first 5 episodes of Transformers Prime, Darkness Rising, the first sort of mini series that they produced as a sort of a teaser almost, but also the first 5 episodes of the show. We'll talk more about Transformers Prime next week, where it kicks off properly and we get the toys and stuff like that. But I mean, I think Moff is similar with me on this, but Transformers Prime is my favorite piece of Transformers media that's not Transformers the movie.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Right. So remember you talked about how at first you were like, oh, I don't really like animated, and then you came around to it. I was like that with Prime. I didn't. I loved animated, and I was just like, oh no. And it was like, oh, I've forgiven this Bumblebee, and I don't like Bumblebee, and I just at first I wasn't connecting with it. It wasn't, but then when I did connect with it, this is the one show that me and my wife watched. We watched part 45 when she was pregnant with our boy. We watched through it, and she absolutely loved it. And so this is the one that she harks back to. It's the only Transformers cartoon she's seen in the entirety of. And now I look back and I absolutely love it. But I genuinely, when it first came up, I was like, I want more animated. This is too serious. I want the fun aspect. So it's just one of the change around of you and I from the anime to animated.
That's actually really funny. But I suppose if you had just watched animated and you were used to that sort of style of Transformers, and maybe you liked that more than the Bayverse stuff, and then Prime is
more diverse.
Yeah, it's a good mash between sort of normal Transformers and Bayverse style. So they're a little bit more complicated. They're a little bit more uh, in the style of the Bayverse stuff, but and obviously there's elements like Bumblebee who doesn't talk. But yeah, it's still an animated show.
Has the Rock. The Rock.
Exactly. That's the absolute bonkers thing. Yeah. It's The Rock this is a bit before peak Rock, but The Rock was big at this time.
Yeah.
And for
him
it was
kind of when he was still just more known as being The Rock for wrestling. Like, I know he'd done movies. He wasn't the global mega. I mean, he's a movie star. Like, when you think movie stars, he is a movie star. He didn't have that yet, but he still was The Rock from being The Rock.
Yeah.
That sounds stupid, but
I know what you mean. Well, he's The Rock. He wasn't Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure what he's credited as. Is he was Dwayne or The Rock? I think he's credited as The Rock, but I could be wrong. But yes, and also this does indeed add an element of Transformers that seems to have become a staple since Transformers Prime, and that is Cliffjumper getting killed. Yeah, definitely Bumblebee, and I think he's been killed in a few other things as well since. But yeah, that seems to be his default setting now: is turn up, do something heroic, get killed.
What's interesting, right? Just when I'm thinking about it, so like up to this point, there's and post this as well. To be fair, there is absolutely let's produce a Bumblebee toy. Oh, want a cliff jumper? Let's repaint it. This didn't have that. It was an entirely different mold.
Yeah.
Like, so as much as he dies and it starts that bit of it, it gives it something different than we've had before, where we get to see Cliffjumper have his own kind of cool like mold rather than just being the typical repaint of Bumblebee, which is it's kind of rare now, like overall.
Yeah, I think it's not since really G1 has Cliffjumper had his own mold. It's always been used as something else. If it's not been as a Bumblebee repaint, it's been a whatever else repaint. But yeah, so the other things with Transformers Prime, so you got a decent group of core characters. It carried over Bulkhead from animated. Prime is back to being Peter Cullen, which is always amazing. And then you have some really, really interesting portrayals of other characters. Ratchet, Jeffrey Combs as Ratchet in Prime is just absolutely amazing. He's got the grumpiness of animated Ratchet, but it's also Jeffrey Combs who's amazing. And Bumblebee is doing his not talking thing, which is slightly annoying. And the human characters are marginally less irritating. I won't say they are completely non-irritating, but they're an interesting little bunch. And there's some really good stories. And then obviously on the Decepticon side, at least at this point, you don't really have Megatron come into it properly for until season 1 gets underway properly. But you do have Starscream, who is amazing. It's such a cool take on Starscream, and you have Knockout, who's a great new fresh character for this, and then obviously you have the Army of Steves, disposable Decepticon warriors who even carry over into Transformers 1, which was a nice touch, I thought. Soundwave, obviously you got a nice new shiny version of Soundwave with his,
which is always good,
elongated limbs and drone mode, and yeah. Anyway, let's yes.
What is quite a sad note is this week we've just lost a cast member from Transformers Prime, and Tony Todd.
Oh, of course, yes.
Tony Todd played Dreadwind.
Yes, obviously not in the first few episodes, but yeah.
Dreadwind,
and he was the Fallen in Revenge of the Fallen as well. So we are in the midst of his peak Transformerness, and unfortunately, yeah, we lost him this week, which is very sad. Yes.
Very much so.
Yeah. So yes, we will talk more about Transformers Prime next week. But yes, one quick thing on it. What I really like about Transformers Prime is they do the thing that Transformers cartoons were designed to do, which is introduce new toys
Mm-hmm.
on a almost weekly, monthly basis. Beast Wars sort of did it as well, but
Yeah, yeah.
with Prime they do it, and then they refresh the entire line with the Beast Hunters
Beast
as
Hunters.
well for
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
final season. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. We have one other piece of media this year, which is completely unimportant and has had no impact on Transformers whatsoever, and that is the computer game Transformers War for Cybertron.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the porn parody.
I'm just trying to think of. Yep, no.
I'm not.
We'll leave that to one side. Um, so, War for Cybertron came out this year, and it's had a massive impact on the fandom because it's the first time that Transformers was portrayed as dark and gritty and serious in a form of media. The cutscenes in that were just phenomenal. The design of the game was just amazing, and they brought back Peter Cullen again to be Prime, and there's some other really good voice casting there as well. Megatron's a bit off, but I can cope with that.
Talk about voice casting, and I know we just moved off it, but is Transformers Prime the first time that Optimus and Megatron are paid by Welker and Cullen again? Because Megatron isn't paid by
Yeah, yeah,
Welker in the movies originally. It's Hugo Weaving, isn't it? So is this the first time they are
yes.
like in their names again?
That
There you
is
go.
the first time. Yeah, because he
Just when you said that, I was like, I
yeah,
think that might be true.
yeah. Wolf Sidron is not Welker as
No,
Megatron. I can't remember who it is, but
no.
yeah. But I mean, the thing with Wolf Sidron, it had a really good storyline. It was a really good take on that aspect of the Transformers lore that we've always
Yes, yeah,
known
yeah.
about, but we've never seen it. It's been in comics. We had uh, um, the Dreamwave
The
series,
Dreamwave
which
stuff, right?
War Within. Sorry, I completely forgot the name of the of the comic for a second there. But this sort of tells that sort of part of the story that we weren't really that aware of, and it's later on in the war as well. It's not like at the start of it, so it's not the Transformers one period. It's the we're well into the war, and it's got a really good, interesting storyline, and it's just awesome. And it was just so nice to see things like the transformations happening and the alt modes for the Cybertronian versions of them and combiners. It's the first one. Yeah, the first one's with Bruticus, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you got Bruticus and the Dinobots who will look amazing. Yeah, awesome stuff. Anything else you want to say
No,
about it?
no, we are literally, we've just in the last 2 weeks been kind of setting up changing what was a kind of playroom, or actually it was a stock room for a good while, but it was a kind of playroom, pre-stock room, and we're setting up to be a games room now because the both boys are into the video games, and the bit I'm most looking forward to is putting my 360, setting my 360 back up, and I know that there's very heavy rumours of these getting re-released, but put up my 360 up and play through War for Cybertron again. And Jamie, I know he's desperate to play it again. So it was a fantastic game, and I think it showcases how good a Transformers game can be. And it's not
Yeah.
the first good game. I always harken back to the Armada game
Hmm.
was shockingly good because you didn't expect it to be good. And this probably had the same bit. It didn't have the this is obviously going to be good, but when you played it, you went, "Oh, this is good."
Yeah. It's a great game, and it was. I was more into multiplayer games and stuff like that at that point. I wasn't really playing too much single player, but that is a game I went through the campaign a couple of times. It's just really good. So much fun. Anywho, let's move on
Toys,
to
toys,
toys.
toys.
Right, so we're gonna do this.
You want to show your pictures? 'Cause you've done the
Yeah, I'll
pictures
show
too.
my pictures, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I've decided because
Okay. Because you're the
But we're
boss.
going to go through. Well, it's only because, as I said to you earlier, it's taken me 3 weeks to get these pictures done because I kept getting bored. Um, so if I'm not going to put them up,
Sorry,
uh,
Hasbro.
it's just there's so much. It's just so much.
Yeah.
But we're let's go. So we're going to start with ooh crossovers. Right.
Move on.
Have you got the? Yeah, they're crossovers and they're all awful and we hate all of them. So skip. Star Wars. There's more Star Wars ones. There's some interesting ships in there. The Twilight is quite an interesting ship and the Cad Bane's ship. So it's more of the Clone Wars sort of stuff because we're sort of in Clone
Yeah.
War era at the moment. So they're all really nice. That's really good. That's really fun. Skip. Whoop, too many skips. Now this is the line I completely actually forgot about when I was making my top five figures. So this Generations, this is the first of this ilk of Generations after Universe and Generations previously. But this is when we start getting some really cool characters from some stuff that isn't just regurgitating G1. So we've got Drift, which we spoke about offline. Oh no, at the beginning of
No,
this
still gonna
actually.
ask you,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But Drift is amazing. It's such a fantastic figure. Really liked him. And Blur is based on the IDW design, but is obviously a repaint of Drift. Really nice figure. Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. Speaking of our repainting bumblebees as cliff jumpers. So for the War for Cybertron stuff, you've got a fair few figures.
And a sound
Came out,
wave.
including a sound wave, which I'm sure you're very happy about. And then we get some interesting other things. The first time we get a cup that wasn't movie
Yeah.
related, which is actually he's actually a pretty class figure.
It's a great figure. I got it's one of my first kind of third party things. I got the upgrade head for him.
Oh, with the cigar, yeah,
Was it Ikea maybe?
I think it
I can't
was.
remember. The cigar, and it just took that figure from being here to
Yeah,
perfect. That's a great figure.
You've got your first. I think the first time we've got any Pretenders characters redone. So we get another one, a more significant one later on. But you get Thunderwing and Skullgrin. Skullgrin is a repainted Dark Mount. Dark Mount being the first time we have a figure of Straxus, who was not called Straxus for reasons I don't know. But instead he was named after Straxus's fortress on Cybertron. And we got the last two Seekers. So that was nice for those of you who wanted to have all the Seekers, like me. I think I have owned every single one of those toys.
I haven't.
And mostly love them. I think I've got three out of the 5 versions of that Wolf of Cybertron Prime. Anyway, moving on. So we had the last 4 Transformers animated figures. Any highlights there for you, Mr. Moff?
Both RC and Rodimus Minor are outstanding. Like so good. They actually might be my top animated figures. The Rodimus Minor is one of the best versions of that character. The RC is just lovely. Like it's just so clever. Never experienced the Ironhider Ratchet, so I can't really.
And it's the first figure in that sort of style, the G1 sort of style of RC to come out. There's been motorbike versions in previous ranges, but that's the first time it was an actual car. So that's pretty cool. Masterpiece. We only got one significant masterpiece, really. The Starscream we'll get onto in a minute because he's actually just the Hunt for the Decepticons Starscream recolored. And Ghost Starscream is a transparent plastic version of Starscream. And we had the Toys R Us version of Grimlock that came out in the Masterpiece line last year for Japan. But I remember picking up that Grimlock in Toys R Us. It's just always will be
Yeah.
an amazing, amazing figure. Right, moving swiftly on, we now move to the funness of a line that Moff knows nothing about, and I know very, very little. So we're going to go very quickly on this. Power Core Combiners, releasing two different versions. You had the two packs, which is a minicon and a figure, normal standard Transformers that did transformery things, and the minicons combined with them to become vehicles and or weapons, which is nice. They were fun. And then there were the five packs, which were one bot that sort of transformed a Commander Class 1, and the other ones were vehicles that just turned into limbs. They did not have a separate robot mode, and there's a fair amount of sort of auto morphing going on with that as well. Some really, really cool figures, but not everyone's cup of tea, Moff?
No, never appealed to me. Never.
First ever Dinobot combiner, though.
That's pretty cool.
Which was in the G1 sort of color scheme, but is none of the G1 bots. It's all different Dysonauts. Right, next. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a slog, so I'm going to go through it really quickly. The Revenge of the Fallen line continued, and they had sublines, and it gets silly, and there's a lot of stuff. So here we have all of the RPM stuff, which is the robot powered machines, I think it was.
It was well
from
played.
last week there. Which is basically the diecast cars and a few other bits and bobs with some more fast action battlers and some gravity bots and the combat series. I don't remember what they are. I assume they transform very slightly. Don't know. Maybe they pop up or something. I didn't look too much into it. Next.
No.
Nest is the first subline within Revenge of the Fallen line, and this was purely continuation of the Revenge of the Fallen line. So you had a new bunch of scout classes, some of which were repaints, or most of which were repaints, I think. Dive Bomb is awesome as the
Dive Bomb is
Baron.
really good.
Such
Yes,
a cool toy.
Yeah.
I also really like Skystalker.
Yes. Well, yeah, I
really,
100% agree.
Really nice drone figure, and also combines with the one we'll come on to in a minute.
Is it Mindwipe?
It might be, or it might be called something else. We'll get to it in a second. But it's that stealth jet thing. Legends class, whatever. Human Alliance has continued with Barricade and Mudflap. So we've now got Mudflap and Skids and Sideswipe and Bumblebee. And Barricade is the first Decepticon. And that Barricade figure is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. It's such a nice figure. And it was really good as well because you have Frenzy as the Human Alliance figure. So that was also nice. And also they repainted the worst Megatron to be black. So that's nice. And then we have more stuff. So there's loads of 2-packs. I actually, after doing this page, stopped doing all the different 2-packs that came out because there's too many of them. And it got boring talking about repaints. So yeah, there's a load of 2-packs, including I think the only interesting one is the Soundwave repaint, just because it was an interesting color.
Yeah.
Other than that, not a lot to say. And then the Nest.
Well, I am curious, Mike, because I've told you my love for the Skids and Mudflap as the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that one's like to see if it's worth it, if it's decent, if it's different enough that it should be picked up. But that's that.
So. Yeah, most of these are a Legends class figure with a Deluxe class.
No interest in.
But looking at that, I don't know which version of Scavenger that is. I don't know. I have to look into that. Yeah. And then the Voyager class figures, there's some pretty awesome figures in here. So as a new version of Ironhide with loads of additional parts and an absolute crap ton of weapons, and he looks really awesome. Prime is boring. Mindwipe, it was Mindwipe. You were correct. I was blanking on, I thought it was called something else, but obviously I'm wrong. Mindwipe, who combines with Skystalker, another G1 character shoehorned into Revenge of the Fallen, who wasn't there. Nebula Starscream, which is cool. Kind of like that.
Cool. Yeah, kind of fun.
But most important, or second most important, is the Fallen, I really like that version of the Fallen because it's
That's
gone for the
nice. That is
flame
nice.
effect kind of thing,
Yeah,
more
I
like
remember
the
thinking that was cool as anything when I first saw it.
yeah. And then finally, Bludgeon,
Oh,
the
that
next
is
of the
stunning.
three pretenders who appeared this year. And it's an amazing figure. It's so good. The whole sort of samurai look that it does with the tracks for his armor plates and stuff.
Brilliant toy.
Absolutely stonking toy. And then we have deluxes. Deluxes are quite a few repaints and a few versions of figures that are normally. So there's a deluxe class Ratchet. Most of these aren't that interesting, and to be honest, they're mostly repaints. The Harrier version of Dirge is pretty cool, but mostly repaints. The two that aren't repaints are the two best figures in the line, which is Brawn and Lockdown, both of which are actually really cool figures.
I
I had
really
both.
want that lockdown. Really wanted it for a
It's
long time.
absolutely amazing. Yeah, he's a cool figure. Brawn, I really like the Brawn. He's got a good sort of G1 ish look in robot mode. He's very gangly because he's a Bayverse style, but he's just a really cool figure. And he was also repainted as Outback, which is also cool. I had both of those. I really liked them, and they were in my Chug collection for a while. I removed them from the Bayverse and decided that they were Chug, even though they aren't. Next, more Scout class, mostly repaints. Some of them aren't, but very few of them. And we're into actually these are Hunt for the Decepticons, which is part of the other subline that we'll talk a little bit about in a moment. Highlight for me of that ilk is Insecticon,
Yeah, that's a
because
tiny figure.
he's just a really fun little figure. He looks really nice. He's got a. I didn't care about his transformation. Yeah, so Insecticon, he was a really cool figure and was based on the little Insecticons that turned up in Revenge of the Fallen. Transformation was boring and rubbish, and the robot mode was terrible, but the alt mode is just awesome. I really like it. Transparent wings, the lot. Nice.
Yeah, it's really
Next.
nice. Whoa, stop.
Oh,
Breacher.
sorry.
Can I just gotta say, I really like Breacher. I thought Breacher's a great wee fun
Oh,
toy.
yes.
And then obviously we talked about repaints. Like, so some of the repaints are like not the Sunspot's really nice. Take on the one that we
Yes.
just talked about. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, Breacher was a lovely toy.
Yeah, Hubcap as well, which I completely forgot about.
Yeah, that was nice.
Is a really cool, like hot rod kind of thing. I'm sure there is a robo machine that looks exactly like that, but I could be making that up. And next, so these were the I forgot what they were called. Stealth
a Gears
Force.
toy that
Yes.
I don't have.
Ah, yes, Stealth Force. So he doesn't actually turn into a robot. That's probably why you haven't
I'm
got
not
him.
kind of yeah.
Yeah, so Stealth Force, they basically you press the button and then they pop out with weapons, sort of friction powered kind of thing. So yeah, pushing them back in resets it, and then pressing the button releases it. Blah blah blah. They were quite cool. Some of them were quite cool, and weird takes on the alt modes, because like Barricade, Bumblebee, they're obviously movie. Hound is from the Universe line like a year or two ago. Soundwave is the alt mode from Animated, and Silver Streak is not anything because he's not a bot that existed in any of those lines. But I suppose it's a bit like Gears and Inferno, who they were the next class up. They had launching missiles. Ooh. And the Optimus Prime Stealth Force one, he was electronic, so he made noises as well as doing the whole powered opening up thing. And he's obviously the best one. I think these are based loosely on that bit from Revenge of the Fallen where Bumblebee drives along and all the guns pop out whilst he's driving. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, or was that darker than me? Oh, it doesn't matter. So back on to Hunt for the Decepticons. Legends class. There were some figures in there. I think the only one of those I've ever had was Sandstorm.
I had that as well. So that's repainted Beachcomber, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. Beachcomber from the Generations or Universal,
Yeah.
whatever it was last year. And a bunch of more activators, including two Optimus Primes, exactly the same, apart
Are they
from
any good?
slightly
Are they any
different
good day
colors.
ones? Are they as good as the animated activators, or are they kind of just a bit? Yeah.
I seem to remember them not being as great. I have got them, but I can't really remember. They're sitting on the shelf somewhere. The animated ones were peak activators. These were definitely not as good as those. Um, yeah, definitely not as good. And moving on again, Hunt for the Decepticons and Reveal the Shield. Two more sublines uh, in deluxe that are just anyway. So mostly repaints again, but there are a few new molds. We got Elita One, which I think was the third and final of the three RC
Yeah.
triplets. Um, I seem to remember at one point it was rumored that they were going to combine into a larger robot, and then that never actually
Yeah. I remember that.
happened. Um, I am not a big fan of the RC design or the fact that RC was inexplicably three robots. It never made any sense to me. They tried to make it make sense in a comic. Uh, Shockwave combined them in
No.
whatever. Um, so Axel was pretty cool. Uh, just as a repaint of Lockdown, but he was quite
Yeah.
a
Great.
nice
That's kind
mold
of
in
funky.
his own right. And I've already talked about Outback was called Fallback, but it's Outback. The Deluxe Ironhide is a really nice figure, and the rest is just repaint City, with the exception of the Reveal the Shield Fun Bots, which are Special Ops Jazz and Turbo Tracks. We're in that lovely era where Hasbro don't seem to have the rights for their own characters, so everything was having to be called different things.
Yeah.
So
Pterodive's a really nice mold as well. I still have
yes,
him on my shelf. So's Tomahawk, to be fair. Tomahawk's
Tomahawk
a
is
nice
as
figure
well.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, they are good figures. But the high for me anyway, the highlights
Oh yeah.
were the Reveal the Shield stuff, tracks.
And
Again, and it's weird because we had a Generations line this year,
yeah, no.
and
But
then
was
we've
this
got,
not that? But this is a weird bit of like bringing back the heat symbols, like.
yes,
But
yes.
it was just cool. They are both banging figures.
Oh, they really are. But obviously, the other figures in that line are Fallback and Mindset, who are both repaints of figures from the Nest line. So are just they're
Weird.
movie figures. So you had a
Yeah, yeah,
sub line that was a combination of Generations and Movieverse, which is sort of the whole sort of merging of the chug as a way of
yeah.
putting it. Um, so that was them. And then we had more Human Alliance. We had Jazz and then a couple of repaints because why not repaint things when you can just keep repainting them forever? Um, but yeah, I mean, we did get two new Human Alliance figures this year. I think that might be it. I don't think they go back to it after this, which is a shame because they were
Well,
really nice toys. Um, Sort of roughly in scale with alternators. So yeah, nice. Leader class, we had Hunt for the Decepticons Optimus Prime, which is Battle Hook's Optimus Prime, if I'm not mistaken. So it's the repaint of Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime, but he has the hook weapons as opposed to the sword weapons.
I think so, yeah.
I think I picked him up much later. And then we have Starscream, who is amazing. But we'll talk about him in a second. And then a bunch of Voyager class who are mainly repaints. Well, not all actually.
No.
I'm going to take that back. They're some repaints. Payload is a repaint. That Battle Blades Optimus Prime. I think that might be a new mold for that year.
Yeah.
Didn't actually notice he comes with the Matrix. Interesting. I wonder if I've actually even got that one. Banzitron, who is weirdly, so it's a repaint of obviously the bludgeon, that we saw earlier, but is painted as Banzai-tron, who is one of the uh, words. You know, those
Pretenders.
words.
No.
Uh, um, what's his faces? You
Action
know,
Masters.
Action Masters. Oh, I thought I had him, but I've got a Croc, not Banzai-tron. Action Masters. That's where my brain went for a second there. And the others are fairly uninteresting, apart from a highbrow, who's really
What?
quite cool.
Hold on. Sea Spray is
Oh, I'll
the
get to Sea
coolest of them all.
Spray.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Well, see on the repaints, but the fallen one looks kind of cool because it's kind of just a different version, like bluish flames. That kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that it is actually really cool. And he comes with his staff, which I don't think the other ones, well, might have come with, can't remember. But Highbrow is awesome. It's a World War II sort of era plane, and his robot mode head looks a lot like what's his face in Rise of the Beasts, the plane. So he's got like the sort of Biggles style like flight helmet and goggles and the beard. He just looks awesome. But yeah, Sea Spray, he does continue the weird habit of this period of turning mini bots into Voyager class figures. I mean, it makes sense for the
For the
size
old
of
mods
the,
bit of it, yeah.
yeah, and he could fit it on his back plate. You could fit other bots on there,
It was
which is
real
pretty
cool.
cool. I don't think you could fit a deluxe. I think it was Legends class, but regardless,
And we
yeah,
don't have a
he's.
kind of scuba mask in his helmet.
Oh yeah,
And
he does. He
not his
does.
helmet, on his head.
His head, yeah, he does have like a little scuba pot and flippers. He has flippers that flip
Yeah,
out of
so
his
that's
feet.
so that.
Yes,
Yes.
he's like a little groovy scuba man.
A great fun
Ah,
toy.
he is a great fun toy. I'd almost forgotten exactly how great fun he is. I think we might even actually be on to bots of the year.
We are?
We are. My bot of the year was Leader Class Starscream because, quite frankly, it's gorgeous. It's an
It is.
absolutely phenomenal figure. They've taken the most weirdly designed, off-putting bot of the entirety of the Bayverse movies and made an absolutely phenomenal toy out of him. It's bonkers how good that toy is. It's
Agreed.
got so many like special features in there as well, so many gimmicks that it's just amazing. I mean, it's got lights and sound, duh, because everything has lights and sound. He's got firing missiles. He's got pop out weapons that come out of his arms. You can't even see really how well disguised. Well, you can see how well disguised they are, but his forearms pop out. He's got miniguns hidden underneath them. He makes all sorts of noises, lights up. He's got his missile launcher on his hand. He's just awesome. And that's why he was such a cool figure, such a well designed, well made figure that the Japanese actually brought him out as part of the Masterpiece line. That's how good he is. Yeah, I love him.
Yes, he's a great figure. Yeah. I don't have him many movie figures, but I still have him.
Yeah, I haven't anymore, but I did have him for quite a long time. I remember, I remember picking him up in Sainsbury's. Yeah, it was a debate between him and Optimus Prime, and for once, it wasn't even a competition. Honestly, it wasn't even a competition. I already had a couple of lead class primes, so I didn't feel that I needed another lead class prime at that point. But I did need, and he was expensive back then. It was like £60 for that figure that was about 3 times the size of a commander class with more gimmicks and. Anyway, let's go on to Moff Spot of the Year.
Oh, he's just beautiful, isn't he?
He is.
Rodimus Minor. I have the Takara version because the Takara version is even nicer.
Yeah.
But it's like, as I said, it brings you back to that kind of character you saw from the movie, the young brash bot. Holds together really well. So the animated figures come out this year, this and the RC are just both absolutely cracking. The Takara version of this is now a more a magenta kind of sparkly kind of finish to him. He's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Annoyingly, I lost one of the missiles. It shot off, and I had never found it again. And I was convinced it's in the room I'm in now. I was convinced in the room in the house. I was convinced when I decorated to find it, and no, pulled all I literally last year that whole room was emptied. Still didn't find them myself. I have no idea how it's went missing, and it was just like I remember when we were having to pull all that stuff out last year. I was like, at least I'll find his missing missile, and it wasn't anywhere to be found. I was like, are you actually kidding? But it's what it is. I'm okay with it. I'd sit with it as bows on top of it now because of that, but it just beautiful, absolutely beautiful figure put
It is.
together so well.
I could be wrong, but I seem to remember that originally these weren't going to get a US release because they were done with animated, and then Rodimus and RC were a Japanese Takara exclusive, or
Yeah,
they weren't coming out, so they released them, and then I think they changed their mind for whatever reason. But it was nice that they did because they're
it
just
was
such amazing figures. It's really nice that they
really
were.
nice way to finish the line. Actually, like
Yeah,
if you were to sit and plan the line out and go, right, we're going to finish. What you want to finish on? We're going to finish on bangers, and this and RC are absolutely that.
yeah. Absolutely. I'm gonna get rid of that. And I want to check what I'd actually put as my top five bots. So do you remember what your top five bots
Oh,
were?
before I do the top five bots,
Mm.
one bit we did say we were doing it, we've not. Is just quickly touch on the third party stuff for the year.
Oh, of
So this
course.
year, third party didn't kick off in this year. It started off a few years before, and it's not. There are some previous. Like, that's the kind of point where it's the kits kind of are a big part of it. So Fans Project did some stuff, and this might not be everything because try to find the actual list of what was released for third party is a nightmare. But so from Fans Project we had the Not Blast Off and Not Swindle for the Bruticus that got six
Mm.
different repaints or whatever many repaints it had. They had the Protector kit for Rodimus for the Classics Hot Rod to make him Rodimus, which was really nice and
Mm.
is going for crazy money. We were talking about this before we recorded, like crazy money. But a highlight for me for the third party stuff for 2010 was Warburton Defender. They're not Springer. It's got such a weight to it. Like their Warburton stuff were die cast and heavy and sturdy and funky. So that's our third party roundup for this week.
Thank you, Mr. Moff. Right, so your top five, do you remember
I do,
who you
yes.
had? Good, well done,
Yes.
you.
Cool. So I've got Hunt for the Decepticons Bludgeon, Hunt for the Decepticons Sea Spray, MP Grimlock, because that's quite possibly still the best Grimlock we've ever had. I have both the Cara and the Hasbro, but just outstanding. Animated Rodimus Minor, obviously, and then Reveal the Shield Jazz. And I could genuinely switch between who's top and who's. I went Animated Rodimus Minor as my top bot of the year, but I could easily swap in the Bludgeon. Like, could easily swap any of them in. They're all fantastic bots.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. As I said to you earlier, you'd done your top five before me, and I saw them, and there's three on there that I would have had on my top five without even a second thought. But mine are 100 Decepticons Starscream, obviously, as we've all previously mentioned. Reveal the Shield Tracks. Is an absolutely phenomenal figure. Really nice mold. Looks amazing. And you'd already picked Jazz, so I couldn't have him. Hunt for the Decepticons Insecticon, who I've already spoken about. Hunt for the Decepticons Highbrow, again, who I've already spoken about. And finally, Nest Lockdown, which we haven't spoken about a lot, but it's just such a gorgeous figure. There's a couple of things about it, like the way you haven't experienced him, but the way he folds out of that car, and he is big. In robot mode, he is tall. He's like 10 inches tall. He folds out. He's enormous, a really, really large figure. It's like, I mean, they're probably saying for leader class
Yeah.
price point these days. He's very spindly, and also this is the sort of first touching on doing the rubberized plastic for stuff. So he's got his hook weapon is the rubbery plastic, and it's a bit, and his hands are a bit like that. But he also has the engine plug on for his arm, the weapon thing, the same as the force field. Is force field generator that in animated. It was something like that anyway. But yeah, and his head sculpt is just such a gorgeous figure. Anyway, and if I hadn't already put Starscream, I think Lockdown would be up there. And yeah, so that is my top 5 for the year. So yes, that's that. Next week, and it will be next week, we're not going to have another 3-week gap. We're going to try and get done 2011, and I might even try and get done 2012 as well. Try and do a double up of see how that pans out. But yeah, 2011 definitely, which is Dark of the Moon year. So let's guess how many toys we're going to have to deal with next year. Again, as always, thank you for watching or listening, or watching and listening, whichever way you want to do it. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate the viewers. We really appreciate any comments that we get. And please do give us feedback. If you think our new format is stupid, tell us. If you prefer the old stuff, tell us. Doesn't mean we'll go back to it, but it'll be nice to get some feedback. And yeah, please do carry on watching all of our videos, our silly little shorts. We have like regular stuff every week with Talking Robots Tuesday with Mr. Moff. We have some What's in the Box. Normally, that's a weekly thing that Mr. Moff will open up a box and go, "Ooh, what's in here?" And that's always exciting. We try to do our pickups of the week, which I've failed at this week, but there might be one out by the time you actually see this, so we'll see. And various other little shorts and silly things. And we've also put them up in different places, so they appear on Facebook and Instagram. And I started playing around with TikTok, and that's been exciting. So yes, anything else you want to say, Mr. Moff?
No, we've got Talking Tunes coming out soon.
Yes.
Talking Tunes coming out soon. We are both going to be at TFN Mini Reading, so please come say hi. I will be taking stock of our special funky Soundwave and Optimus Prime t-shirts. So if you would like to grab one, please come say hello and get one of the t-shirts. I'm sure we'll record a wee something funky at TFN Reading and do a wee something in person. But yeah, no, I think you've covered everything.
Cool. Oh yeah, and our giveaway's still going on. We're gonna do the winners of that in the next couple of weeks because I forgot about that this week. Got some entries now, so that's helpful.
Yeah, we have. We've got some entries, and as you say, we'll do the draw. The intention was to do it for 200 subscribers. We're very close to that, so we've got 200 subscribers. We'll do our draw, and we'll then announce the winners, and we'll sort out the prize getting sent to them.
Awesome. Right. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye for now.